Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know I say this every single week, but we really appreciate you taking the time. And most important, I think we can all walk away a winner if you write down notes, walk away with nuggets, sales strategies, ideas, right? If you can learn about some products, right, that'll supplement your sales, help your consumers, help yourself, and literally build your own annuity stream and retirement income by selling DI policies. That's what today is about. And I want to make sure that everyone knows enough to be dangerous. We had a few agents come to us and they said, Bill, you're always on these trainings and your podcasts and webinars and expos and breakfast trainings, all the above, talking about IUL and indexed annuities and whole life, permanent products and term with living benefits, everything. But you don't talk about basics with disability sales, right? So what I wanted to do was make sure that you all had a training guide, training platform, a presentation you can go back to and use this for reference. And what we also wanted to do was invite our go-to DI company, which is Assurity Life, okay, for a number of reasons. So Doug, our VP, is joining us, and he's going to go over the formal presentation here in a few minutes. But what we wanted to do today was, of course, touch on all different types of DI products. We wanted to show you all, if you're an expert in the space, wonderful, you're going to learn something new. If you're brand new in the DI space, you're going to learn a lot. And that's why I want to make sure you write down notes, use your notes app, use the Q&A pane, okay? You can ask questions, comments, feedback. We want to hear from everyone, good, bad, or indifferent. We build these presentations weekly based on your feedback. So it's very important to us. Let's jump right in here. What we're going to do at the end is have our question of the day. So I want to make sure you're paying attention, writing down notes. I said it 3 times already. And at the end, I'm going to ask a question that has to do with the slides that we're going over. And whoever answers first and correctly walks away with a tablet and the IUL prospecting book. So make sure you're on until the end and you're paying attention. Okay, and let's jump into the first slide here. What I want to discuss quickly is disability, DI sales, why it's important. All right, I want to give you enough to be dangerous, and I want to make sure that you all understand the concept, that this is not overlooked. And I think we'll start and we'll go A to Z, but just giving you the 100-foot overview, right? Think about today's world, 2024, right? We're coming into fourth quarter, last part of the year into 2025. We just had the election, and people are now asking questions about various products, right? Maybe they were kind of on the sideline until things changed. We'll call it for the better, for the worse, whatever you think it is, but people are now asking questions and wanting to invest dollars. So you as the agent need to ask the right questions. And when you think about paycheck protection, right? When you think about everybody out there talking about annuities, about IUL products, about investment products, okay? And you think about a typical family of 4, right? Husband, wife, 2 kids, and you say to the consumer or to yourself as the agent, okay, number 1, their automobiles are insured, right? Great. Number 2, their home is insured with mortgage protection insurance. Okay, wonderful. Number 3, they have long-term care protection, right? And because they don't want to leave their children with a burden. Everything sounds wonderful, right? This financial plan is looking pretty strong. Okay, but the most important part of this all is what happens if Johnny or Shelly, the breadwinner of the family, gets injured and they can't do their job any longer. What happens to a paycheck? It stops. Okay, what happens to all those other policies? How do you pay the premium? Everything stops. So isn't it a good idea for you to make sure that the DI policy is in place? Okay, that if Johnny, Shelly, Mary, Bobby get hurt and they can't perform their duties at their job, okay, that they're still going to be okay. They're going to have all these other policies that stay in force, and they're going to have enough money to provide food on the table and pay their bills. Okay. That's what DI is about, right? It's paycheck protection, period. White collar, blue collar, work site, list bill, small groups, you name it. They need to have a policy in force. And when everyone else is out there looking for that monster IUL case to make $102,000 of commission, okay, you can fill the gap here, right? It's a niche. You can talk about, well, that monster policy is great, but how is Johnny, the CFO, going to pay his premium if he gets injured and he can't do his job? There is no IUL that will stay in force if Johnny gets hurt and can't pay premium. Okay, so you got to use these products, these strategies as door openers. Okay, a lot of the younger generation now, the younger agents, they're all, again, out there looking for the monster annuity sale, the monster IUL sale, or you have that whole MLM, that final expense part of the industry, and they're all fighting over these cases and the advances and who pays on issue. Okay, great. Okay, we know that that business typically doesn't stay on the books. It's replaced, and then there's chargebacks. And fill the gap with paycheck protection. It's very important. It's a fourth leg on a chair is the way I look at it. Okay, but you have to know how to quote it. You have to know what to look for. You have to know about the niche, okay, for certain job class or health or underwriting, okay, all the above. And how do you get a policy placed in force as soon as possible? What's the easiest way, even direct to consumer, using Insure Me Now Direct and Assurity, because we teamed up and we have this simple to use platform, okay? Yes, if the consumer is making $10,000 a year, $12,000, yes, we're going to look at other products, okay? But we have a little something for everyone. You as the agent need to look at this and say, you know what? There's plenty of commissions here, plenty of income for me too. So I'm helping this family, I'm helping myself, and I'm getting paid a nice first year commission. But here's what a lot of agents don't understand. The renewals on DI is huge, okay? We're talking about 5%, 7%, some cases 10% for the next 10 years, some cases 15, some are lifetime renewals. So you're building an annuity stream for yourself by selling DI, okay? So again, it's a win-win-win, okay? And I know some agents kind of steer away and they say, oh, it's too confusing. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to misrepresent the policy or myself and have an E&O claim. That's what we're here for. That's what Doug's team is here for, okay? And so we're going to show you enough to be dangerous. That's the goal today. Let's jump in. We're also going to talk about, and I know we were supposed to have the same exact webinar last month, and unfortunately, the hurricane came to central to northern part of Florida, and some people were affected, including our presenter today. So thank God everything is okay there. But that's why the rescheduled last minute notice that we put out in October. Moving forward, we're in November. Okay. We also call it Movember, right? It's about men's cancer and health awareness. In fact, we're going to show you a slide in just a minute. We just had a big charity event that we sponsored that we always talk about giving back. So I want to share that as well. But November is also LTC Awareness Month, right? Living benefits. And we all know today, fast forward, end of 24, LTC, standalone LTC, isn't as common or as popular as it once was, right? Rates went, in fact, way up, skyrocketed. A lot of policies went away. People couldn't afford them. Today, we do still have a couple of great standalone products, but the popular concept is hybrids, okay, and living benefit riders, okay, which, by the way, Assurity also has some great LBs as well. But anyway, the need is there. It's bigger and better than ever. And we have a handful of carriers, great products to serve you and your clients. So we have some sales strategies, bullets, all in one email that we sent out. We'll also send it out tonight in the thank you email. But you, being the agent, you have to get the word out. Okay, as important as DI is, right? LTC is important too, because we all know what happens. Okay, I don't have to get into that whole story. let's keep moving forward. Okay, talking about Movember, right? Last month for my birthday, we did Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We had a luncheon. Everyone wore pink. We made a nice donation on behalf of you, our agents, our team members, our staff. Okay, and we did the same exact thing for November. Okay, in fact, I participated on Saturday and we did a big event and we donated. In fact, the total donation with all the teammates was a few $100,000. Okay, we of course did our part to contribute towards that amount. But I want you to know, you the agent that's out there in Nebraska or in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, or in Key West, Florida, whatever, or wherever, okay? Every penny of premium placed with us, okay? We take a portion and we put it towards a good cause. It's about giving back to the community, okay? It's about sharing, right? It's not take, what's in it for me? Of course you have to provide, but we all know it's about giving back as well and helping those in need. So I take this very, very serious, and that's why you always see our email blasts about different charities and donations. Not asking you to donate, but we contribute typically every month on behalf of your business. So just wanted to say thank you for that. Let's keep moving forward. Testimonials. So you are our consumer. We don't sell on a retail level whatsoever, right? We wholesale. We're distributors. We're a top 10 direct IMO, okay, which means you are our customer. So when I see these reviews come in and our staff sees these reviews come in, this is what moves the needle internally for all of us. So please share. Go to our Facebook page, our Google reviews page, okay, and share your thoughts. I'll send you the IUL prospecting book on us for all active agents. I just want to mention, I'm not going to get into this too deep today, but just this quick one that came in recently from Paresh. And I just think this is amazing to see. We didn't ask for this. He sent it by email. And he says, hello, Carrie and Bill. I'd like to send this personal note to you. I want to thank you for having team members like Josh Hoffman in your organization who support and guide you through the core of annuity product selections. Last year, our client was looking to park $200,000. He guided us to Clear Springs. We just got our statement last week. The client made a return of over 21% in year one. Okay? He's a true asset, does a thorough evaluation before suggesting an annuity. Okay? Which is like finding the right fish in an ocean. Kudos to you and your staff. That's everything. And for you, if I have my agent hat out there, I'm in my third bedroom, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, okay, and I have a guy, I have a girl for DI, for LTC, for IUL, for annuities. I need to know whatever marketer I speak to or IMO that I speak to, that I'm finding the best product for that customer, period. Okay, that they're not going to come back to me in 2 weeks and say, Bill, what the hell is this? What are you proposing here? I was able to beat your premium by 20% and get a better product. That's never going to happen here. Okay? Never. In fact, if that happens, I want to look at that product and I want to dissect it because there's some small print or a gray area that client or agent didn't see. Okay? And we'll expose the facts and the truth. Okay? Maybe, from time to time, we might get beat by $1, $4, depending on the case and the premium. Okay, but when you look at the big picture, we're never going to be beaten out. As far as ratings, financials, the overall product picture, there's no way. It's not going to happen. And that's why we have to have 80, 90, 100 carriers on the life and annuity side. So we have every single gap or niche covered, period. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Enough of my ranting. The Expo, which Assurity is a part of every single year. This is our big to-do every year on the sand in South Florida. This is going to be, and I'm not saying this lightly, I'm on record saying it today, it's going to be our biggest expo ever. Okay, I promise you that. And in fact, we've been dealing with COVID, as you know, for the last few years, and doesn't matter. We still came out swinging. We had great expos every year. This one, 2025, in fact, our hashtag is Thrive in 25. It's going to be different. Okay, it's going to be better. There's going to be more value add. And here's what we're doing. Okay, we're going to do a big blowout for the end of 2024. And on the annuity side, we're doing double the credit to qualify. So this is free for all agents, number one. Number two, you can qualify with your premium, life and annuity, and or annuity, doesn't matter. 30,000, one free night at our oceanfront resort in a suite. 60,000, round trip airfare. Then you have that same suite. 70,000, you have the suite for 2 nights, oceanfront, plus round trip airfare. And then the annuity credit is double until 12/31/24. So run with this. Make sure you qualify. Bring your spouse. Do a staycation, vacation, call it whatever you want. I want to make sure that you're there for that entire day on Friday, April 11th, because it's going to be awesome. Breakfast, lunch, snacks, keynote, agent panel, our top carriers. It's all about sales ideas. Okay. I can promise you, you talk to any agent that attended before, and I think they'll tell you great things about our expo. Let's keep moving forward. This is our, there we go. Perfect. This is our Levinson Life and Annuity Leader. We send out every other week. And it's great because it gives you, think of like 100-foot overview snapshot of all of those carriers and products, what's hot, what's not, sales ideas, strategies, new technology, what's going on with Insure Me Now Direct, everything you need to know to be a successful agent right now, okay, is in the Annuity in Life 411 Leader. We'll also include this in our thank you email, but you should have received it this week. Let's keep moving forward. What I want to do now is switch gears and talk about our main focus today, which is disability sales and strategy, so you can get the word out, okay? And I'm not going to steal any of Doug's thunder, but what I do need to touch on briefly is with Levinson, you need to know the columns, the carriers, what's available for you and the customer. Now, what I mentioned here on the left-hand side, you don't have to think like years ago, oh, you know what, my client has to be super healthy and a job class 4 to get a policy. No, we now have impaired risk DI, and you're going to see Assurity top, front, center, okay? Left-hand side, just over from that one column, blue collar DI, Assurity, and here's what I love, Assurity's latest DI product, they have you covered on the white collar side as well, not only covered, but they have, in my opinion, one of the most competitive DI products in the space today. And then what you're going to notice on the right-hand side, think of Amazon, direct to consumer, also Assurity DI on our platform. In fact, 3 different options. What you're also going to notice, check out all 4 columns. Assurity has a product for every space in the market, period. Okay, let's move in to our feature presentation. I have Doug Bedore joining us from Assurity Life. And Doug is going to take the wheel, sit back, relax, plenty of notes and nuggets, and we'll see you in about 30 minutes or 40 minutes or so. Doug, you there, buddy?
Sure, I'm Bill. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thanks so much. And certainly appreciate that lead up, and I appreciate the invite back to talk with everyone today. As Bill kind of mentioned there, we were hoping to do this in October, and life got in the way. I didn't have power on those days. We watched a hurricane roll over us, but everyone here is safe and sound. All my family and friends here safe and sound. We're glad to be back. Florida strong here and working today. So thanks for having me on. Certainly looking forward to that expo. Like Bill said, Assurity, we attend every year, and we'll make this year no different. We think it's going to be one of the best that we've been to each year, and they put on really a top-notch presentation there. So looking forward to that. But Bill did a great lead up when he was talking about disability. Disability, I think, is one of those pieces of a financial plan that's often overlooked, but probably is one of the most important pieces that we can talk about today with our clients. It really is talking about that paycheck protection. The paycheck, we know, is what drives almost every household in America today. And if that paycheck goes away, financial plans go out the window. So let's make sure that we're thinking about that as the foundation of everyone's financial plan. So let's jump into it today. Again, Doug Bedore here, Senior Sales Manager. I'm based out of Florida, but cover, with agents all across the country, just like Bill and his team do. We are happy to work with the Levinson team, one of the really top organizations all across the country that really has the most access to the most carriers to make sure that you have the products you need to be successful. So if you're not familiar with us, just a little quick tidbit about who we are. We are based out of Lincoln, Nebraska. I handle the Southeast here, but the home office is up there in Lincoln, Nebraska, over 130 years in business with that excellent rating. So we are looking forward to another 130 years to serve you. So just a quick rundown of what we're going to touch on today. Again, the topic here is DI. And I like how Bill said it. We want to make sure that you've got enough information to be dangerous. We'll do that and maybe even a step further. So you'll be, effective and can really identify when you have an opportunity sitting in front of you. Because I assure you, you've had these opportunities sitting in front of you before, and you may or may not have recognized them. If you've done DI in the past, if that's a part of your business, you can typically say, okay, let me take a look at what you've got and what we need to protect. But if it's not something that you regularly add as part of your review with a client, it's a piece that we need to add. So we're going to first talk about the opportunity, and then we're going to talk about what the top prospects or what the niches look like before we get into just touching on a little bit of the product as well. So really, opportunities in today's market with disability, it really starts with what Americans need if they're in a financial pinch. And working Americans, about 70% of them, if they're in a financial pinch, it would be a month or less without their paycheck. It's going to really be a stressful time for them. So oftentimes they're going to need money right away to help bridge that gap in the event of an accident or an illness that doesn't allow them to work. So we know that the majority of Americans today, 70%, know that this is or would feel this right away. The other thing that we often hear about or we don't really think about is if you do become injured or have a sickness that creates a disability for you, oftentimes, no one really thinks that, okay, well, I'm going to bounce back. I'll be back on the job in the next 2 or 3 weeks. The average disability is a little under 3 years. Obviously, there's outliers, there's high and low to that. But if you look on an average, typical disability is going to knock you out for a while there. So we need to think about really, and that's why Assurity has so many different product options. We want to make sure we can cover everything from short-term to long-term disabilities. So we've got the options there. 65% of clients today in America have no long-term disability option built into their financial plan. What we'll talk about a little bit today is, when you talk to a client about disability, the assumption is, oh, I get that through work, or I'll be covered because I work here or there. Well, oftentimes that's going to be a short-term plan and really does not cover that need. So we'll talk about standalone options that they can buy from you that's going to actually protect their needs. So Bill, I think, did a great point kind of underlying this. DI is often the missing link. We talk about life insurance and health insurance. If you got your nice new car, you're obviously having that insured. Property insurance, if you've got a fire or a lightning strike, we know that we've got someone backing you up and going to help you put your property back together. But what if the paycheck stops? What about income protection? What helps pay for all of these policies? What helps pay that mortgage? What helps pay the tuition bills and all the rest? Income is often going to be the thing that drives every piece of that. So we want, as a foundation of every financial plan, oftentimes to start with disability here at Assurity. Not only because that's a flagship product for us, but because we believe in that. We think that you can put together the most fanciest IUL package or life insurance package, but if you can't fund that to what the plan was, it all kinds of can fall apart on you, and the client won't know it until after it's already happened. When they are out of work for a month or two and start making those tough decisions of, okay, do I need to put food on the table, or do I need to pay, my life insurance bill? Well, let's take that decision off of their table and give them the funds and the benefits they need to continue on their coverage. So we do believe that disability oftentimes is the missing link, and a full feature disability plan that can cover them long term is really a great solution there. So we are the only carrier out there that really sells disability and really all the types of disability that you can get out there. So we're going to talk about each of these products a little bit today, but this is just a short, quick preview of products. When we say disability at Assurity, we're talking not only about short-term disability, long-term disability, also graded benefit, which is for those impaired risk clients, and then we also have some business overhead expense. So if a business owner becomes disabled, and that would typically impact their ability to run the business, pay rent, pay employees, keep the lights on. This is the type of insurance that can step in and help them out in that scenario. So we have all 4 different types of disability that we offer here at Assurity. Really, no one else comes close to that. So that was just a little touch on products. We're going to talk about products in a second, but I always like talking about people first. So I want to talk about a little bit of what we see as the top prospects, where we see this product being deployed. And as you're talking to clients, as you're, maybe on the sideline of your kid's soccer game and you're talking to other parents and they, that's always one of the first questions, what do you do? I want you to start thinking about occupations and things people do that may fit a DI plan. So where we see a lot of wins, and to be quite honest, pretty much every profession, every American out there, we know most of them are underinsured and maybe not even have a long-term disability plan. So, really everything's on the table, but I want to kind of give you a list of what we see a lot of. The places that we see a lot of are pretty obvious, quite when you think about it. It's people that are tied to the medical field, nurses, physical therapists, chiropractors. And the reason simply being is they see it every day. They see disability changing the financial landscape for a family. So it resonates pretty easily with them. So, when we look through and we kind of analyze, okay, where are we getting the applications in from? We see a disproportionate amount in that healthcare space. Home healthcare aides, we see a lot of those as well. So that is just to kind of say that, that's the low-hanging fruit here. If you're talking about a financial plan with any of those occupations, DI should resonate, and not that you shouldn't mention it to everyone that you come in contact with, but let's start with the ones that we know that it resonates with. So we see a lot there. In addition to that, just kind of looking at the numbers and where we see applications and where we see wins at, realtors, small business owners, because we have such unique and full-featured set of products, we do get a lot of freelance and gig workers as well. That short-term product is really attractive to that segment of the market, and not many carriers really have an individual short-term plan. Those freelance and gig workers, they're often not going to have the group plans that you might get through an employer, and obviously those don't always cover all of the needs, but at least it's something. Well, these employees are out there, they're doing their own thing, they're hustling, they're working hard. What if they can't do that hustle for 3 months, 6 months, a year? What are they going to fall back on? So for really anyone you run across, let's think about disability in that conversation. So like I said, I always like to start with people in these, because I think it kind of gives you an idea of where we go with the product. We'll talk about product here in a second, but let me just kind of walk you through, if we were starting a DI conversation, what we would be looking for. And I think that will kind of give you the breadcrumbs of, how you can frame a conversation and how you would go about it. But this is a very simple scenario. We've got a 36-year-old realtor. She makes $76,000 a year in salary, so she's kind of getting going there. A realtor, oftentimes they work for the realtor brokerage firms. They might have some disability, maybe something short-term, a group policy, but a lot of them are kind of freelancing out on their own. They're their own, one-person entity that's really out there working hard. So what happens if they become disabled and are unable to work? So where we typically like to start this conversation, or this is really, I think, one good way to do it, is let's say just to them, what's the three biggest expenses you have each month. And these could end up being different for different people, but for this example, let's say, okay, mortgage or rent. So mortgage, just under $2,000. Their car payment, realtors live out of their cars. That's an important piece. That's a big expense for them. And they usually put some dollars behind their car because that's their office. And maybe at 36, she still has some student loan debt out there. And she wouldn't want that to fall behind because that's going to affect her financial future in a myriad of ways if she were. So those are just the three biggest expenses that might come to her mind. So that works up to about a little under $3,000. If she were unable to work, those are the things that are going to keep her up at night. How am I going to pay these bills if I don't have a paycheck coming in? So the next thing you want to do is kind of look at what she's making, because when we're talking about disability, that's really one of the key numbers. How much do you make? That's basically going to be the leading indicator of how much we can protect you for, what your benefit would be. So industry standard, and this is kind of the first thing you might want to jot down, insurers will typically protect up to 60% of a client's income. So that's why you see down at the bottom, she makes about a little over $6,000 a month. And then we're timing that by 0.6. So to figure out how much we would offer in coverage. Would love it if we would offer 100%. Most carriers, and the industry doesn't do that. We don't, obviously we wouldn't want it to be advantageous for you to be in a better spot if you were disabled than you were working. So there are kind of coverage limits built into that. So that's just kind of where you get that number. But 60% is generally what most carriers will look at for the maximum amount of coverage. So if we kind of pop over to the next slide here, that 60% of her salary, that would work out to $3,800 a month. So what you're looking at on the screen is really two options. The top being, okay, if she wanted to cover as much as she could of her paycheck, $3,800 a month, what would the premium be for that? $73 a month. So for 73 bucks a month, she has that protection if she were to become injured or ill to the point where she's disabled and cannot perform the duties of her job. We're going to step in and pay out that $3,800 a month. That's obviously going to be covering her mortgage, her car, her student loan, and then some to keep her afloat and kind of bridge that gap. If you run into the client that says, okay, well, wasn't planning on doing 73, what other options do I have? Well, we talked about what your three biggest expenses are, what your worries are. What if we look to just cover those? So that bottom section, that's what we're kind of illustrating here is for that mortgage, that kind of big one-top expense. We want to make sure we keep the house. So for a little under $2,000 a month, so $1,950, it's $32 a month in premium. So again, paycheck protection, $32 a month, very affordable, and gives the client peace of mind that they can protect those assets that are most valuable to them. So gonna run through more people, because like I said, I love talking about people, putting kind of faces and names to what we're trying to do here. I'm gonna do one for really 3 of our products, just to kind of give you an idea of where the fit is here. So for this first one, we're talking about our long-term disability product. We call it our Century Plus DI plan. So again, this is a individual long-term disability product. You're buying this, from the client's buying it from you. They're not getting it through an employer. It's not some group plan that's going to cover kind of a portion of maybe their need. They can offer all the way up to 60% of their income on this. So 32-year-old female, $78,000 a year as a nurse. She sees it in her work every day. She knows that there's a need there if she were to become disabled, how she could make sure she's meeting her obligations. So for this one, we did a $2,700 monthly benefit. So this is kind of where we're getting into some terminology here. If you're not familiar with DI products, you're going to see EP and BP, and that doesn't mean blood pressure in this scenario. This is benefit period and, blanking up, an exclusion period. So elimination period. So to age 65 means that if she becomes disabled, we will pay that $2,700 a month until she is age 65. So that is a long benefit period generally for a 32-year-old. If she becomes, let's say she's 35 when she becomes disabled, she's got decades that she's going to be paid out if she continues to be disabled. If she gets better and is able to get back to work, obviously that benefit period would stop, but she's got that protection to last her really until retirement age for this selection. The elimination period, the EP that you'll see on all of these, that's how long you have to wait from the disability till the time the first payment starts. And the client selects these, and you would guide them on these. They can choose a benefit period up to age 65. They could choose one that's just a 2-year benefit period, 5, 10. So there's lots of different options in there to tailor these plans. What we typically see is different in terms of benefit periods. We typically see for long-term to age 65 is a very common one. A 10-year benefit period is also a very common selection. Elimination periods, they can range for long-term products from 30 days, 90 days. If you're looking for a price-conscious someone that just wants to cover the worst-case scenario, you can look at elimination periods that are 6 months or even a year long. So that benefit wouldn't kick in until after a year of being disabled. Those options are there. The most common one we see is a 90-day elimination period. So just want to talk some terminology there. We've got a whole host of riders on our long-term product. I'm not going to dive in. That's DI 102 is to get into all those riders and options you've got. But suffice to say, at Assurity, we've got every product you could want for DI. We've also got every little rider that you could want to add on and customize. And the team here at Assurity and certainly the team over at Levinson can help customize a plan for you. But we generally we've got some ones that we see used quite a bit. We can always suggest those, but you've got lots of options. The base product itself is really meeting the goal of protecting the paycheck. So just remember that when you're doing a quote, as long as we got the base one quoted, everything else is kind of cherry on top that can help customize for the product. For this particular client, we ended up with a premium of $137 a month. So if you kind of do the math on that, it's about 2% of their salary. For a 2% of their salary, they're protecting their ability to stay in their house, to pay their car, to pay tuition for the kids. So when you kind of break it down like that, it makes a lot of sense. So I want to put one more, well, I've got 2 more of these, just kind of putting a face to each of these products. This is our income protection product, and this is what we brand our short-term disability product. Again, this product is a little different than probably a lot of short-term disabilities out there in that it is an individual product that a client would buy direct. They own the product. If they lose their job or move their job, the product stays with them. So it's a portable product. It's not a part of a group plan. And they have the ability to customize this product. So this is a little bit of a smaller case, a 32-year-old female hairstylist making $36,000 a year. She gets the accident and sickness product, and we'll talk a little bit about different options there in a second. And the kind of big difference between our long-term product and our short-term product is the short-term product, it pays on a weekly basis. So when you go on there and you pick out, hey, I want a benefit amount of $400 or $500 for the short-term product, that's a weekly payout. So just in your mind, kind of think about that. So if you're doing a $1,000 weekly payout, that's the same as doing a $4,000 long-term plan because that's a monthly payout. For this particular client, these short-term products obviously typically have shorter term benefit periods. That's the difference between long and short term is the benefit period. They generally run at most 2 years, typically much less. For this example, we're doing a 13-week benefit period. So we're just showing a short period of time there. And it's a 14-day elimination period. So they become disabled within 2 weeks, they would start receiving their benefit. After the disability, that benefit period would kick in, and that would help them kind of bridge the gap as they are unable to work. So for this particular client, if it is being billed as mortgage protection, if that's kind of where you started the conversation, let's say they have a mortgage and a $1,200 monthly payment, the $415 a week is certainly going to cover that. and help them stay in the house if they were to become disabled. So that's kind of where I started. Where I did is, let's talk about the reasons why they'd want this insurance. Maybe it's to cover a mortgage, maybe it's to cover some other asset that they're worried about losing if they're disabled. It's a good way to kind of frame things. But that $400 a week would certainly help. So Bill mentioned at the top, and I've kind of said a couple of times, we really do offer every product when it comes to disability. Our graded benefit plan is one of the most successful ones in the industry. We sell quite a bit of it. And in short, it's if you have a client that applies for disability coverage, whether it's with Assurity or another carrier, and for health, typically it's health reasons, they're going to be declined. This is always going to be an option for them. So it's kind of like if you're familiar with a life product that has a graded benefit, this is the same thing. So the first 2 years, they wouldn't receive their full monthly benefit. It would be a portion of it. And then after the second year, they're going to get exactly the benefit period that they applied for. So it just kind of protects the company in those first 2 years for a client that is higher risk and allows the client to get into some coverage that they otherwise wouldn't be offered really anywhere else. So quick run through of this. This is a 42-year-old male general contractor making $75K a year. We did kind of the maximum for this one, $3,800 of monthly benefit. They got a decline. Let's say they were at another carrier and were declined for significant anxiety or ADHD treatment. So a typical DI plan wasn't going to be an option for them. But they did get an offer here for graded benefit for a 90-day elimination period and a 5-year benefit. This is going to be a little bit more of an expensive plan, $347 a month. But for a general contractor who, not only could be a breadwinner for their family, but a breadwinner for the whole business, their ability to work is obviously very important. Without that business, obviously, is going to have trouble operating. So really, we want to look at that type of client and make sure that they are covered and their paycheck is covered, because that is not only going to affect their family, but anyone else tangentially touching that business. So talked a little bit about the people. So I just wanted to kind of get you thinking about, as you're meeting people, as you're talking about financial plans, the types of occupation and people. I wanted to spark some ideas that we want to mention DI in those conversations too. I mean, I hope the takeaway here is I know a lot of the examples are showing, $30,000 or $75,000 of premium or salary. Please don't take that as that's all we cover. Here at Assurity, we cover everything from blue to gray to white collar. We have disability plans on doctors and lawyers for salaries in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we can cover everyone. We have a very wide range of products, and we see a lot of those. Those people that oftentimes are going to, just like everyone else, rely on their paycheck to make sure their families are running their financial plan quickly and efficiently. So they see DI as an important piece just as much as anyone else. So the product. So I'm going to quickly touch on this because I know, slides of carrier products is not always the most interesting stuff, but I want to hit the highlights on this. And again, hopefully in your mind, kind of separate the different options, because that is really the blessing with Assurity is we have all the products, but I don't want to confuse those in your mind. I want to make sure you understand that the various options that you have here. Century Plus, again, long-term disability, provides a monthly benefit. It's bolded there on the left-hand side. When we're talking about selling DI, the things you want to look at, really it's generally, and this is for most carriers, up to age 60 will offer plans to. Obviously, what we typically see is, people in their prime working age is the target market here. Once you get into the retirement ages with no income coming in, doesn't really make sense as a product. So for most products, you're going to be looking at those up to age 60. The way we do risk evaluation on disability is really through occupation classes. So instead of just having a preferred or select or whatever you want to call the rate class on a life product, really we classify everyone down to their occupation. So a 4A being the best rating, for occupations that are mainly going to be office jobs, people that are sitting in a chair, really low risk jobs is 4A, whereas 3A is someone that maybe has got some movement in their job. They, maybe a nurse in an office setting for a doctor. They're kind of up and moving a bit, but in the chair quite a bit. A 2A is someone that's going to have a lot of physicality in their job. Maybe a nurse in a hospital setting would be an example there. Someone that's going to be on their feet most of the day, not exactly doing dangerous work. My mom's a nurse. I heard some stories. Some of it can be dangerous, but not particularly known for a super hazard in that job. Whereas the 1A is going to be the more hazardous jobs. If you're working as a trucker or a roofer or something that accidents can be involved in quite a bit. So that's how we classify risk on DI products through those occupation classes. And then the other thing you want to think about is how much coverage we can offer. Obviously, that's going to be dictated quite a bit by that 60% rule on their salary. But for those higher salaries, kind of what I was saying before, on a long-term disability plan, we can do $20,000 of monthly benefit for a client. So that's going to cover people that are making $200,000, $300,000 a year. So just kind of give you an idea there. Some of the more risky occupation classes would be lower those, but typically that still is going to cover quite a bit of benefit and salaries there. Lots of options in benefit periods. We talked about benefit periods. We talked about elimination periods. So just in your mind, Century Plus long-term care pays a monthly benefit. Income protection, Assurity's income protection is our short-term DI product, pays a weekly benefit. Just want to kind of emphasize that because if you're looking at both products, you got to think about that when you're picking out your benefit period. So for this, similar ages, similar occupation classes. The one interesting part of this product is you can select this product to be for accident and sickness, which is standard kind of what every DI product you would hope to expect for. If you become disabled due to an accident or a sickness, it's going to kick in. But there might be opportunities, especially if someone doesn't really has some health things going on that sickness is not going to be an option for them. That's another pivot you can do on this product. You could just make this an accident-only disability plan. Would only cover in the event of an accident. It's going to be less expensive, and it's going to be open you up to clients that may not be able to get a disability plan elsewhere. So that's one of the nice pivots. Again, up to $1,000 of weekly benefits, so up to $4,000 benefit periods, elimination periods I mentioned earlier. Graded benefit, again, this is a long-term plan, pays a monthly benefit, and I walked through this a little bit earlier. Really, what you need to know is if you've got a client that gets a decline at another carrier or Assurity, if you get a decline on Assurity on our Century Plus plan, we're going to look to see if we can offer this right away. You're going to receive an email that says, hey, for whatever reason, disability is not going to be, or standard disability plan will not be an option for this client, but we do have this graded product that's available to you. So, in any scenario that happens at Assurity, we always make that offer, but we get a ton of clienteles that came from other carriers that said, hey, I couldn't get DI. Do you have anything for me? And we're one of the few carriers that do. So I just want to kind of keep that in your mind. That's not something that you're going to, you're not going to see online quotes for it as much. You're not going to see it on Assure Me Now Direct. It's really going to come up as needed. If you write a Century Plus product and we need to shift it over there, we can kind of do that automatically, and we'll connect with you as that happens. Last one I'm just going to touch on really quick, and this is kind of a unique product, business overhead expense. You have a business owner. If they were to become disabled, obviously they hopefully have their own disability income insurance in place that's going to help them pay their own bills. But what pays the company's bills? What keeps the lights on? What pays the salaries of maybe their employee or two? So this is intended to help pay those expenses if that owner becomes disabled. I want to just mention this. There are a couple states this is not available in. My own state here in Florida, we do not offer this plan. California, we do not offer this plan, but there's about 45 states where we do. So just want to mention it if it's something that you you think you might run across, certainly reach out to your team at Levinson. They'll kind of check to make sure it's available in your state, and we can walk you through the process on how to offer and quote it. So just one or two more slides, maybe 3 or 4, but I'll be quick with them. Want you to think about when you're writing long-term, here are the easiest spots you're going to write it. If you're up to age 55, up to $6,000 a monthly benefit. This is a no medical exams. We're not going to ask them for income verification. So no W-2s that we're asking for. We're not going to call out and ask them a bunch of questions. This is where things go really smooth and easy. Not that they don't above those amounts. We just do a little more due diligence in terms of underwriting, but things can go real fast, basically get instant decisions and approvals based on the information they put on the app. For those amounts, for the short-term product, we really built the entire product around that premise up to age 60. For the up to 4,000 of monthly benefits, truly $1,000 weekly benefits, what you'd be buying. We built that to really have no medical exams, income verification, any of that good stuff by default. I've mentioned this a couple times, but I just want to say it again here. You've got a lot of options with Century Plus. We'll switch to graded if needed. With income protection, you can always do a pivot from accident, sickness, accident only. That means that if you come across a DI case, we're going to have a product or an option generally available for pretty much every client. So I'm going to pop through this real quick. I just want to get into sales tools and mention a couple things. If there's any takeaway from today, before I would go to this website, I'd make sure I knew my contacts at the group over at Levinson, because they are some of the best in the business. If you've got any questions, they can always help you out. And they have great connections to us as well. If they have any questions, we make sure we get them quick responses on that as well. But Assurity does have a micro site that has a lot of the information that we chatted about today right on there, assurity.com/sellmoredi. Nice marketing pieces, a little bit about the products that we talked about, and some underwriting tips as well. You've always got the option, you as the agent, to run quotes. We pretty much put all of our products, both DI and other products, right on this site, myquote.assurity.com. This is an agent focused site. So if you go on here, you can kind of plug in, get an idea. You've got a client in mind, get a quick quote within literally seconds, a minute or two, take you to plug some information in, get an idea of what premium would be. And if you as an agent want to write an application on your client, you can do that here too. So you start a quote and kind of start an application for your client. But one of the nice things, this is a picture of what those quotes look like. But one of the nice things about working with Levinson is you've got unparalleled access to really one of the most advanced platforms I've seen in the industry with Insure Me Now Direct. So your clients can go on your site at Insure Me Now Direct and get access to DI products, which I'll tell you is really unheard of. A lot of carriers have been dipping their toes into the terms and the straightforward products, but the fact that the folks at Levinson had the foresight to say, hey, we want every product we possibly can. We want the Amazon of insurance here. Unheard of in our industry. They're doing absolutely great things there. So if you've got access to Insure Me Now Direct, you've got access to your clients being able to access a Surety product directly for themselves right there. So with that, I know we've kind of hit time. I greatly appreciate everyone joining on today. I appreciate Bill's lead up and always fantastic advice and highlights that he does every week when I'm able to join these. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Doug. We appreciate that, and great plug for Insure Me Now Direct. And by the way, you'll see him face to face at the expo as well. Shake hands, get to know each other. He's a great resource for all of us. So thank you again. Let's dive in. I have about I would say 4 to 5 minutes, and we'll wrap up. We'll be about 2 or 3 minutes over, but I promise we'll keep it short, sweet, to the point, and then we'll have our giveaway. So real fast to get started, if you already have an Assurity contract, okay, obviously we want you to move that over to us. If you've written business within 6 months, you need a release. If not, you can get started here. We match or beat your commissions plus cash for contracting or leads for contracting with your first paid app. We make it a win-win, and you get access to Insure Me Now Direct, the scholarship program, all for free. Okay, so again, no brainer. Everything is right there. Just follow those yellow arrows, right hand side. That's all of our marketing material for the agent and consumer. So we have enough stuff here to get the word out for you and your team. Okay, videos, flyers, e-blasts, all the above to spread the message that you are now the DI go-to guru. Call it whatever you want. Okay, very simple. We can even co-brand it for you. Okay, if needed, JC can jump in and help you with that as well. Let's move forward. What I want to talk about next is great resources to help you move the needle in the DI space. So this is a DI seller's guide. Okay, and again, we break it down to keep it very, very simple and to help you understand the ins and outs. And then, of course, you relay that info to the consumer or prospect. We're going to include all of this in that thank you email, so you don't have to get too held up on each number and reading every single line. The next slide, same exact thing. These are common DI objections. And then the pro tip on the right-hand side, we spoke about that a little bit earlier, the paycheck protection question and then real-life case studies. Doug touched on that too. He had some great slides. In fact, we'll get those slides and include them in our thank you email. So we'll keep it very simple. Let's keep moving. Insure Me Now Direct, I know Doug mentioned this as well. This is the only platform in the industry that's 100% complimentary, okay, multi-product, multi-carrier, and it's 100% direct to consumer. Now, here's the way I would look at this. I wouldn't just say, oh, you know what, Bobby, Shelley, I'm going to have them log in at 2 a.m. while I'm sleeping, and they're going to run a quote, they're going to apply, they're going to get an approval online, and then the policy will be emailed to them or they can print it. I mean, of course, that in a perfect world is wonderful, and it happens, okay, especially if you have a good campaign or Facebook ad leading back to your site, kudos. If not, think about it, or I should say not if not, but and or, you should also look at this and say, you know what, I have my iPhone everywhere I go. I run into people all day long, okay, at weekends, networking events, cheerleading practice, soccer games, football practice, who knows? Bring out your phone. You meet Johnny, Bobby, Shelley. Hey, do you have paycheck protection? No. Tell me what it is. Okay, in fact, I'll run a quote for you. Bring out your phone. And Shelley says to you, Billy, hey, you know what? I want to move forward. Okay? Insure Me Now Direct. Pull up the app. Have them literally turn your phone around. They fill it out. Guess what? Instant decision. You just sold a new DI policy. Okay? In minutes. It's that simple. So don't think of it just as the customer that's online at 2 a.m. Okay? It's also for you, the agent at Starbucks. Okay? When you run into a prospect, that's how you should be looking at this. It is so easy. And then it lets you focus on your $100,000 IUL case, right? Because you're selling DI, accident, CI, whole life, all the above right on your platform. So keep it simple, stupid. I always like to say that. Let's keep moving forward. And by the way, we have all of the most competitive DI products on the platform. Okay, so, and if not, by the way, we can get you started through the Assurity website as well. Okay, now you're thinking to yourself, wouldn't it be great to have those consumers that log in at 2 a.m., okay, and run quotes? How do I drive traffic? So we have a complete turnkey platform, okay, ways for you to send out group texts, okay, you can send out automated calls, you can send out mailers, you can send out e-blasts, all completely turnkey, automated, and I call it set it and forget it, okay? We have Revenue Booster, Revenue Accelerator through our Agency Automator and Ringy CRM tools. This stuff works great, okay? And we put all the pieces together for you. So you got to check this out. JC is your go-to when it comes to marketing Insure Me Now Direct, but I encourage you to pick up the phone, introduce yourself, or send them an email, set up an appointment, and we'll get you up and running. Okay, the next slide here, and this is great. In fact, I would save this on my desktop, iPad, phone, all the above. Okay, and what we talk about here is the underwriting niche chart, conversation starters, and it just gives you a very easy to understand guide, who to go, where to go for what, and what product is going to fit that prospect best. Okay, very simple. Let's keep moving forward. What we do every week is we promise you that we're going to go on social media, we're going to go in the search bar, and we're going to put in top performing disability posts, okay? Or Facebook ads or Instagram ads. It's so simple, and you should be doing this too. So depending on the topic of the week, we just go in, Facebook, Instagram, we'll put in IUL, LTC, disability, and whatever comes up, we share with you so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, just change a few spokes. These are 3 top performing DI ads, okay? Is this rocket science? No. Together, these 3 posts created over 200 likes and over 20 new leads, okay? And each lead, each comment, you reach out to with a DM, direct message, and you say, hey, Shelly, you asked about my ad. You were interested in getting a quote. How can I help you? What's a good time? Okay, jump on a Zoom call. The rest is history, okay? It's not rocket science. Very black and white, very simple to understand, but you got to make the first step, put the action plan together. Let's keep moving forward. Bill Levinson Experience Podcast, another great training resource. What I wanted to highlight quickly is episode 27 on the left-hand side. This is one of our top MDRT agents, agencies, and his focus is DI. He uses it for a door opener, and then he does the old cross-sell. But he's protecting these families, these clients with disability income protection. Okay? Right-hand side is episode 3. This was the I Love DI podcast. I was actually a guest speaker. Okay? This channel is all about DI. It's a whole nother world, folks. Okay? This one is great. Again, we went back and forth for about 40 minutes, but a lot of great tools and nuggets that you can use to leverage and get the word out. Okay, let's keep moving forward. This is our menu of webinars, everything that's upcoming for the balance of the year. I'm going to talk about this quickly, and then we have our last slide, and we'll put a bow on this. So Q4 is with Corebridge Financial. We're going over their latest portfolio, underwriting, technology, everything that you need to know. Manhattan Life, same exact thing. Plus, we're doing $100 cash with your first Manhattan Life application. Just under that, Emeritus is now rolling out not only the brokerage side, but the career side as well. You're going to have full access to. That's a big deal. That's on the 5th of December. Just under that is our Ringy CRM tool, which I'm telling you, if you're not using that, you're riding a horse in reverse around New York City in 2024, which you shouldn't be. But you got to use some of the latest technology that's available to you for free. It's a free trial or a co-op discount if you decide to continue. On the bottom, Kansas City Life, the #1 ROP term platform available, is launching a new term product on December 18th for the new year for 2025. My last and final slide is my Positive Tuesday quote and my question of the day. And then, in fact, you know, it's pretty cool. That picture is from our live breakfast training with One America, talking about hybrids with living benefits. So another big plus, another great portfolio, by the way, you should look into. My quote, bottom left-hand corner, finding one's passion is great, but finding one's talent is priceless. Run with it, find it, live it, do whatever it takes. Spread the word. If your right foot isn't down on that gas pedal, you're in reverse. There's no coasting. There's no neutral, folks. You're doing it or you're not. Okay, and we have the tools and resources to help you spread the message so everyone thinks of you as the go-to, the guru when it comes to all of these products. My question of the day, whoever answers first and correctly walks away with a tablet and IUL prospecting book. Let's get your little fingers on the keyboard. You got to be quick. Question is, tell me the episode number for the DI podcast, the one that I just mentioned. It's an easy one. What was the episode number for the I Love DI podcast where I was the guest speaker with Coach Chris? Tell me the number and you win. Very simple. I hope you get it. Andrew's going to tell us who was first and who was correct. Andrew?
Okay, first correct is Carson L.
Carson L. Congrats. The answer was number 3, episode 3 in the early days. Let's all have a great rest of the day, great rest of the week, great selling. Okay, and jump in. Pick up the phone if you're confused. We're here for you every step of the way. Okay, it's LTC Awareness Month, November. Keep your eyes peeled for our thank you email tonight. Thanks again, everyone. Great selling.